Okay, let's get into this. Han Solo and Chewbacca. We tend to think of them as these huge galactic figures, right?
Icons, definitely.
Exactly. But our sources for today, which are some really great bits from Brian Daley's Star Wars, Han Solo and the Lost Legacy,
Mm.
they actually drop us into this time when Han and Chewie were, well, seriously down on their luck.
Yeah, stuck in the Tion hegemony, which isn't exactly glamorous.
Not at all. We're talking failed smuggling runs, a clothes-legging scheme.
Yeah,
Yes, clothes-legging.
yeah.
That apparently went completely bust.
Hilarious, isn't it? Clothes legging.
And some kind of military script exchange that also failed. Really shows our heroes, hitting a real low.
And that contrast is what's so interesting here, I think. Seeing them like this, kind of vulnerable, it strips away that sort of mythic hero image we usually have. It shows their grit, almost their desperation, maybe.
Yeah, that resourcefulness born out of necessity.
Exactly. And these early failures, they make the later successes feel, well, earned, not just destiny.
Totally agree. So this deep dive, we're really trying to understand this mess they were in initially. How do they even start to get out? And what kicks off the trouble that always seems to follow them.
Right.
We'll look at this run-in they have with a really cocky stunt pilot, Grigman.
Oh, Grigman. Yeah.
Their surprising teamwork with a local mechanic, this character Fadoop, and then these unexpected visitors from the University of Rudrig. And believe me, things go sideways fast.
Well, the setting itself, the Tion hegemony, it's kind of perfect for this, isn't it? It's described as this place on the fringes that attracts petty grifters, unsuccessful con artists, and unprosperous crooks.
So not exactly the Coruscant high life.
Not even close. And that environment, it really shapes the kind of trouble Han and Chewie find themselves in.
So first taste of trouble. Airspeeder repairs. Han's actually working for this guy, Grigman, who calls himself the hottest stunt pilot in space.
Bit full of himself, maybe?
Just a bit. And their relationship is tense. Super tense. Grigman's always asking if Han and Chewie even, working for him. You can just imagine Han biting his tongue.
Oh, absolutely. And Grigman, he's younger, apparently a former heavyweight unarmed combat champion.
Right. So Han probably can't just punch him.
Probably wise not to try. But you feel that clash of egos, right? Grigman's arrogance versus Han's simmering resentment at being stuck in this situation. He wants to prove him wrong.
And Grigman's got this rule.
Yeah.
Never trust the locals. Which is ironic because Han sees Grigman himself as a shifty deadbeat.
Right. Han would much rather trust someone like Fadoop.
Okay, let's talk about Fadoop. The description is fantastic. She's like a short, primate-like being, green fur, walks on her feet and her knuckles.
Bandy-legged, I think the book says.
Yes, and she has this aircraft she built herself called Skybarge.
Skybarge. It's just perfect. Fadoop really brings the setting to life, doesn't she? This quirky, resourceful character.
Totally. And you see Han's pragmatism here. He trusts her, this local mechanic, way more than the off-world hotshot, Grigman.
Speaks volumes about Han's judgment, maybe, or at least who he feels more comfortable with on the fringes.
So Grigman's moaning about his airspeeder parts being late. And then perfect timing, Fadoop shows up with them.
On the Skybarge, presumably.
Must have been. Han pays her up front, gives her some advance cash. Seems like a good working relationship. But then Fadoop just casually mentions, oh yeah, 2 people were asking for you and the big one down at the spaceport.
Uh-oh.
Han immediately thinks Imperials, right?
Yeah.
His internal alarm bells are going off.
Always the first thought.
But Fadoop, being helpful, gave them a ride over on Skybarge. Turns out they're not Imperials.
And just like that, a simple repair job leads to the next complication. Fadoop sort of accidentally kicks things off.
So who are they? We've got an emaciated albino guy in a sunproof robe.
Striking image.
And a humanoid named Hissel from a planet called Brygia. They're from the University of Rudrig.
Okay, the University of Rudrig. That actually sounds kind of legitimate, doesn't it? It's described as the only reputable higher learning place in the Tion hegemony.
Right, and they're from the Committee for Interinstitutional Assistance. They have a job for Han and Chewie.
A job? What kind of job?
Transporting stuff, guidance systems, teaching materials, aids for a brand new college being set up on Hissel's planet, Brygia. It's part of an agreement of aid.
An agreement of aid sounds almost charitable.
Yeah. And Chewbacca is apparently all for it, just thrilled at the idea of a new job.
Oh, Chewie, always the optimist. A nice contrast to Han's usual suspicion.
Always. But Han, he spots an opportunity for, let's call it personal satisfaction.
Uh-oh. What now?
Grigman's about to do his big air show. He's got this old X-222 fighter doing loops, dives, colored smoke. The whole shebang.
Showing off, basically.
Totally.
Right.
And Han, on impulse, decides he's going to borrow Fadoop's sky barge to, well, show Grigman up.
Borrow the sky barge.
Yeah.
The one that's probably not built for stunts.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Fadoop, bless her, just agrees. Doesn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
Even though sky barge is currently loaded up with enriched fertilizer.
Fertilizer. Oh, this is classic Han. He just can't resist, can he? Even with a legit job offer weighing.
Nope. Got to settle that score with Grigman first.
Using a fertilizer-filled, home-built cargo ship against a fighter plane. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, what happens next is just, it's brilliant in a chaotic way.
Oh.
Han takes the sky barge up and just mimics Grigman's entire routine.
In the sky barge.
Sheer piloting skill, I guess. But then he does something really Han. Mid-loop, he cuts power to one engine, feathers it.
No, seriously.
Yep. Then, coming into land, only one landing gear comes down. Grigman's watching, just waiting for the crash and burn.
I bet he was, rubbing his hands together.
Probably.
Whoa.
But then, Skybarge hits the ground on that one wheel, bounces, corrects itself, and lands smoothly on two wheels, just as the other gear finally pops down.
He faked the engine trouble.
Yeah.
And the landing gear. That's
Powerful.
incredible skill, actually. Insanely risky, but skillful.
Right. Pure nerve. And the crowd goes wild. But here's the punchline.
There's more.
Skybarge wins first prize.
You're kidding. For what?
Best exhibit, Fertility of the Soil Challenge of the Sky.
Fertility of the soil because of the fertilizer. Oh, that's perfect.
And Grigman, who had apparently stormed off in a huff earlier, comes back just to see Han getting the trophy. The humiliation must have been intense.
Oh, absolutely brutal. It's such a great little Han moment, though. Skill, recklessness, luck, and making rivals look foolish.
Textbook Han. But the good times don't last long. They take the Rudrig job, fly the Falcon to Bridgia.
Okay, back to the actual mission.
And the second they land, treble, big, loud, clanking treble. These lumbering metal power wagons surround the Falcon, sirens wailing.
Power wagons, like troop carriers.
Sort of. Government troops spill out, but they look bizarre. Ill-fitting human-style uniforms, but over bare feet. They're wearing bright pink spats with glittery buttons.
Pink spats on military troops.
Pink spats. And tons of medals. But the buglers apparently can't play in tune. It's like military cosplay gone wrong.
That description is just fantastic. It immediately tells you something's off about this government, doesn't it? Trying way too hard, maybe a bit incompetent.
Definitely seems that way.
Yeah.
And they yell out a demand, "Surrender the fugitive."
Fugitive? Who? They weren't told they were transporting a fugitive.
Exactly. Han and Chewie have no idea who they mean. But Han doesn't wait around to ask questions.
No, I bet he doesn't.
Slams the ramp shut, seals the ship, powers up the engines, getaway mode, activated.
Smart move. Especially with pink-spatted troops running around.
Meanwhile, the poor university volunteers who came with Hissel, they get rounded up and thrown into these vehicles that look suspiciously like garbage trucks.
Oh, lovely. Real welcoming committee. So much for the agreement of aid.
Right. Then some official gets on a loudhailer, tries to negotiate, says no one will be harmed if they just hand over the fugitive, even offers to talk about payment.
Han's gonna buy that.
Cautiously, he agrees to talk, but only at the ramp, unarmed, and only if they pull the troops back and turn off the spotlights.
Setting his own terms, trying to control the situation. Good ol' Han.
So they meet, and then comes a twist. The fugitive. It's not a person.
It's not. Then what is it?
It's the cargo. The teaching materials from Rudrig.
The books, the guidance systems, that's the fugitive.
Yep. This security chief, a guy named Keek, pulls out an official edict. From the Benevolent Inner Council, no less.
Benevolent Inner Council. Sounds ominous.
It says all off-world teaching materials and literature are now on a restricted list. Keek claims the Inner Council thinks Bridgia was just trying to pick up some toys with this aid agreement, to boost its image like other planets.
Wow. So it's about controlling information. Censorship.
Looks like it. They don't want outside knowledge coming in. And Han's reaction to this Inner Council authority is pretty much what you'd expect.
Complete dismissal.
Utter disbelief and contempt. Like, who the heck are these guys?
This changes everything. It's not just a misunderstanding. It's deliberate suppression.
And it gets worse. Keek tries to physically grab the materials. He's surprisingly strong, apparently.
So it comes to blows.
Big time. A fight breaks out right there in the Falcon's cockpit. Hissel, the guy from Bridgia who hired them, actually jumps in to help Han.
Hissel sides with Han against his own government security chief.
Seems so.
Mm-hmm.
And then The teaching materials themselves do something unexpected. One of the scrolls, it's not just a scroll.
Don't tell me.
It fires some kind of energy blast. It's a weapon.
The teaching materials are weapons. Okay, this mission just got infinitely weirder.
Right. Total chaos in the cockpit. The fight ends with Han basically hitting Keek over the head with this weaponized scroll.
Using a laser-firing textbook as a club. Only Han Solo.
So now Han's not just a smuggler. He's actively fighting the government over dangerous educational supplies.
This has escalated way beyond a simple delivery job.
Han, now holding Keek captive, demands they release Hissel's colleagues and let the cargo go.
Does Keek agree?
Well, Keek, once he recovers a bit, tries threatening Han with Imperial involvement. Big mistake.
Yeah, Han probably doesn't scare easily with Imperial threats.
Not this time.
Yeah.
He basically laughs it off. Says the Empire wouldn't care about this little mess on a backwater planet, especially with Han's forged paperwork.
Good point. Plausible deniability.
So the Falcon blasts off. They get away. Hissel, though, isn't exactly celebrating. He accuses Han of destabilizing a planetary government.
No. I mean, he kind of did, didn't he?
Han's response, classic Han, serves them right for cheating.
His own unique moral code strikes again. It wasn't fair, so all bets are off. Typical.
So just to quickly pull that together, we started with Han and Chewie, really down on their luck in the Tion Hegemony.
Yeah, dealing with arrogant pilots like Grigman, relying on quirky locals like Fadoop.
And then this seemingly simple job comes along, deliver some school supplies to Brygia.
The agreement of aid sounded so innocent.
But it turns pear-shaped almost immediately. Weird troops, demands for a fugitive.
Which turns out to be the supplies themselves.
Exactly. The whole thing pivots on that reveal, doesn't it? The arrival of the Rudrick folks and the true nature of their cargo and the bridging government's reaction.
It really does. That's the moment it shifts from a potentially boring cargo run to, well, to this, a confrontation with a controlling regime.
And the speed it escalates. From Han showing off against Grigman in an air show.
Which was pretty funny, admittedly.
To fighting a security chief with a weaponized scroll and getting accused of overthrowing a government. It's kind of a whirlwind.
It really is. A perfect example of how a small job can just snowball into chaos, especially in their line of work. And it leaves so much hanging, doesn't it?
Totally. Like, who was the fugitive they originally thought Han had? Was there someone else entirely?
Good question. And what exactly were those teaching materials? Why were they also weapons? What knowledge were they trying to suppress?
And this inner council.
Yeah.
What's their deal? What are the bigger consequences of Han just blasting off like that?
Right. It feels like this seemingly small incident could have ripples we don't see yet. The paranoia of that Brigadian Council, the nature of those scrolls, it hints at bigger stuff going on.
So as you think about this slice of Han and Chewie's early days, it's a great reminder, isn't it? How even a galaxy far, far away runs on misunderstandings, hidden agendas, and jobs that go completely off the rails.
Definitely. Always question the simple jobs.
Maybe think about the motivations here. Grigman's pride, Fadoop's helpfulness, the Council's fear, Han's harness. What might happen next for all these players? It's a galaxy where trouble finds you, especially if you're flying the Millennium Falcon.